It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special edition of the Rob Carson Show podcast. I'm actually hanging out with a guy wearing a tie. That's very rare. That is very rare.
I'm classing the joint up.
You are classing the joint up because I do have kind of the groovy studio. Generally you need to have a lava lamp in here. You need to kind of chill and whatever with my studio. But anyway, Chris Butler, friend and cohort, colleague, fellow radio broadcaster, and also a guy who knows a whole hell of a lot more about, certainly finance than I do. Welcome to the show, man. Good to have you on.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I wanted to bring you in tonight because we are announcing a new partnership.
Yeah.
Since leaving a radio station, KCMO, you still work at KCMO.
Yes.
You have a gig
Yes.
on KCMO radio on the weekends, and you have changed the name of it.
I did. We went from Capitalist Pigs to Free Market Underground.
Free Market Underground. Now, you had asked me for my advice on renaming your show. I said Investment Wankers,
Which I love. I love that.
It is very good. Yeah, maybe a little tough to take for some people.
Yeah, right. Yes. I think it is.
It is. But anyway.
But a T-shirt waiting to happen.
It is a T-shirt waiting to happen, and I will help you do that, Chris.
Excellent.
I absolutely will.
Excellent.
But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm going to make sure that I'm in the frame here because it's two-camera situation. Sometimes like I'm huge and you're small.
Right.
It's tough. It's tough doing TV when you're just a podcaster. Anyway, good to have you on. I used to have you on my show.
Right. Yeah.
At KCMO, and it's great to know about finance, about what's going on in the world. I've had a chance to not only have you on the show. I was reading your extensive bio today.
Yes.
Dear God in heaven. No, but you
And that was crushed down to a few pages from a small novella.
I just think there are, to start off, I'll say, I think there are some very positive things happening.
Absolutely.
With this president. Sorry, I know a lot of people don't agree with him. I think he's Reagan-esque. I really think he's Reagan-esque with regard to the markets, with regard to the economy, with regard to bringing down the taxes on corporations, with repatriating money.
Mm-hmm.
Dear God, what the hell? Why didn't we know how to bring a one-time penalty, repatriate your money? Why?
Because the idea was that if you allowed corporations to bring back all of that untaxed profit that they have overseas, if you gave them any kind of break at all, well, you'd be giving them a break.
Yeah.
That doesn't sell on certain parts, certain sides of the aisle.
Well, because they're evil corporations.
Right.
And you know what? Those evil corporations employ people.
Yeah, they do.
They really do. I'm as much as put aside all of he's a cad, he's a whatever, he's unfiltered, he's all this crap. Put aside that stuff and realize this guy is a free market, Reagan-esque capitalist. And I feel good about him. Now, we saw earlier this week the Dow go above 2,300 or 23,000. Sorry. What does that mean? Why is it responding that way, brother?
I think that the market is responding favorably to what it expects to be a much more favorable corporate profit environment. Let's face it, for 8 years, corporations were vilified.
Yeah.
And you know what? We did everything we could, everything that was in our power, Rob, to make sure our economy did not grow. And when it did grow 1% and 2%, everyone was surprised.
Why is it limited in the freest country in the world to 1% growth?
Right.
Do you attribute it all to government?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to know. Because, we have a lot of things going on. We have a lot of things going on in the world.
Yes.
But government is such a gigantic weight on businesses' shoulders. The APA particularly, by the way. And obviously we have other things like, the hurricanes. We saw how quickly the getting rid of regulation, whatever, that Trump is doing. Look at how quickly we put hurricanes in our rearview mirror.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Chris, this could have taken months and months and months.
Yeah.
We're weeks away.
Right.
And the economy's turned around.
It has. It's almost as if it's a distant memory from an economic standpoint. jobless claims right after those hurricanes spiked, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, everybody was out of work. It is back below where it was pre-hurricane and setting like a 43-year record or some such.
I mentioned this the other day, Chris. Millennials have never seen unemployment as low as it is now. Think about your entire life, Chris.
Yeah.
1973 was the last time we had 220,000 people unemployment in a country that has 330 million. That's 0.001%, right? Unemployment, right?
Right.
Unreal. And it's all capitalist principles. Let me ask you about this president, because I know you've got friends and colleagues who aren't big fans.
No.
And I don't know if you are or not, but what is this president doing right with regard to the economy and capitalism?
Well, and to be clear, he's not doing it all right, but he is doing a lot right. And I think that one of those things is, well, two things, really, Rob. Number one, the tax situation, and this is the part I don't think gets articulated very well, but we're not just trying to get our average or effective tax rates to be in sync with Europe. Yeah. We're actually trying to be competitive. We're trying to compete with and win against Europe. So that he is doing right. Secondly, he is trying to take the lodestone, also known as Obamacare, out of people's hair, correct it, fix it. That did more to stymie economic growth, in my opinion, than anything else that was done in the 8 years that was Obama.
Yeah. Kind of a side note about Obamacare. Obamacare, and a lot of people are saying that the subsidies that healthcare firms have gotten, they're going away. So it's going to kill your premiums are going to go up and all this crap. They were supposed to go away under Obamacare, Chris.
Right.
Chris, they were.
Yeah.
You had people, these idiots who signed up for Obamacare, these healthcare companies who signed up for Obamacare, knowing that there was a gravy train.
Right.
In Obamacare, the gravy train would go away. And the reason being, by the way, is because Obamacare was meant to get people involved in exchanges, have the insurance companies go belly up, and you're stuck with government single-payer health care. That's it, okay? Wow, I know. It's like amazing. I took a freaking radio talk show host to figure this out. It was meant to drive the insurance companies out of business. Doofus, okay?
Yeah.
It was, Chris.
I think that I have heard that a lot. I think that is kind of the going idea behind what was done with Obamacare. I tend to be a little bit more forgiving and optimistic about what was going on.
You're wrong. No,
but here's what I do think.
Yes.
I think they tried to do something that could leave a legacy.
Yes.
And when somebody got them behind closed doors, the architects of Obamacare, and said, hey, by the way, heads we win, tails we win. If this thing doesn't work, we can go straight into single payer. Everybody laughed and said, you're right. Correct. So I think that was kind of the story there. Hey, we can do this, leave a legacy. If it doesn't work, we've got an out clause. We go single payer, and we are going to leave a legacy one way or the other.
The out clause was the goal. The out clause.
I'm so naive.
Honestly, this capitalist. Oh, my God. I just that's what the goal was, dude. It was to sign up a bunch of doofuses and get them involved in exchanges and slowly drive them out of business, and then replace it. You're stuck here in Kansas. Mm-hmm. One exchange left.
Right. Who is that, by the way?
Hell, I don't know.
Is it Humana?
I don't know. It's Dumbass Incorporated.
Right.
That's what the hell it is. But that's what it was.
They're good, I hear.
Yes, exactly. But honestly, if you didn't see this coming,
you weren't looking.
No, you weren't.
Of course, this was coming.
And listen, I don't understand all this stuff. I'm a radio talk show host, but I saw it coming. Barack Obama talked about single payer. He wanted single payer, and the only way is to lead them in with some cheese on the mousetrap. We're going to take care of you. And honestly, what Donald Trump has suggested with regard to getting rid of the subsidies was only precipitating and speeding up the inevitable, which is already built into Obamacare. That's my theory. I'm sticking by it.
Yeah. You know, Rob, if you actually think there's a guy whose name escapes me at Cato that was writing about this healthcare deal long before it was even passed, long before it was even turned into law. And this is exactly what is going on today, is exactly as predicted.
Well, again, I don't know what sort of optimism, what sort of payoff, what sort of, I guess, what I would say, not satanic, but I'm thinking of the
not satanic.
No.
Okay.
What is the opera about Satan that he makes a deal? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Faust.
The Faustian. It's a Faustian.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Faustian deal.
Right. That's
what it was. It was not satanic. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
although Satan the opera, have you seen it?
I have not.
No.
Okay.
It's great.
But a Faustian deal. It was a Faustian deal. To be a part of these exchanges, and you cannot do this with government.
No, you can't.
You can't do it.
And I heard the other day a great comment about this. If by giving people more choice, it crushes a government program, that government program was unsustainable to begin with, right?
And it never is, Chris. I mean, it never is. The whole competing beyond state lines, I never understood that. I never understood that.
You know what else I don't understand? Why is it that 100 people that work for the same corporation get a group rate, whereas 100 people that work for 20 different corporations in the same building can't do the same thing?
It's ridiculous. And the thing is, with regard to government health care versus the private sector, over state lines just makes sense. It makes no sense not to do otherwise. Why are we not allowing health care over state lines when we are allowing? We got so many stupid rules with regard to interstate commerce in this country. Health care is one. What the hell? Why? Why?
Hey, you know what? If Mexico offered me a better policy, I'd consider it. You know, and we're just talking about state lines here.
Yeah. To me, just utterly ridiculous. I don't know where it's going from here. My wife we're fortunate we have decent health care. We've been hammered a little bit, not unendingly. I'm hoping that things will turn around. You know, Donald Trump, he really is trying to drain the swamp in D.C. Did you see George Bush's speech yesterday?
I did.
Okay.
And I didn't see, I got to be honest with you, I didn't see what the media saw, to be frank.
To me, it was disappointing because he sat silently for 8 years while the Obama administration, the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS run roughshod over the Constitution. I was disappointed that George Bush really exposed himself as a true establishment Republican.
Yeah, well, that is for sure. And I kind of figured that to begin with. You're right. That is a little bit disappointing. I didn't think, though, it was as harsh a criticism as the media had led me to believe. I went, the first 3, 4, 5 hours hearing about this and thinking, oh, what a stab. And then I actually saw it on Fox at night and thought, well, I mean, that's not that harsh, but I agree with you. I agree with you.
It was filtered, Chris. It was filtered. It was direct, but it was filtered.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed. I like the guy. I think he's a great guy. But it disappointed me.
But he is establishment. He is totally.
Well, let me look at the camera here real quick. There's a reason why Jeb Bush wasn't even considered as a candidate. There's a reason why Lindsey Graham not even considered as a candidate. Here's the theme of the 2016 election. We're sick and tired of being told how to live our lives by people who spend their entire lives doing it. Now, Jeb Bush is a Florida Republican, got it, but he's part of the dynasty. That's what it was all about.
Right.
All right. It was a joke. I laughed. I guffawed. I did a spit take when Jeb Bush decided he was going to run for president. There's no freaking way. There was no way, Chris.
A spit take.
I did. It was like, right out the nose.
Yeah, that's a shock. It is a shocker.
It was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And why is it that the right seems to have a problem with that dynastic rule? Because they clearly did not want Jeb to even run.
No.
On the other side of the aisle, though, I mean, we're still living out 1990s fantasies politically.
No. Democrat voters wanted the same thing. You're wrong. Pardon me. I mean, you're a great guy, but you're so wrong.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders,
good call. Yeah.
As much as he is a guy who's been in the Senate for a while, whatever, Democrat voters looked at him as an outsider because he's a socialist, whatever.
Yeah.
Young people, particularly, they're stupid, they're misguided, don't get me wrong, but they wanted Bernie. The Democrat Party killed that. Debbie Wasserman Schultz killed that. The Democrat Party was looking for the same damn thing. The same damn thing. But the Republicans delivered because we're not corrupt a-holes like you Democrats.
Right.
But that's what it was, man.
No, you're right. You are right. That Bernie Sanders made a push that probably should have seen its ultimate fulfillment. But, yeah, you're right.
I think you would have gotten beaten. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But that was the same, dude. The dynamic was the same. Yes, I called you, even though I'm 52 in a week. I called you, dude. But the same dynamic was existing in the Democrat Party. They were sick of this crap too. But unfortunately, they were force-fed Hillary Clinton because of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They killed Bernie Sanders.
Yes, they did. But and hopefully at some point in the future, I'll have an opportunity to tell you about the time I was being interviewed by a big Wall Street firm and used the word dude. Now, I was 23, but still, that's a no-no. But what it means is you're really relaxed.
Yes. Well, what is the statute of limitations on the word dude?
There is none.
Because there are some things that I obviously can't say,
Right.
like you are so chill.
Right,
I can't do that.
Right.
I can't do that.
It's hard to pull that off.
I can't do that, Chris.
And I think we're roughly the same age, too, by the way.
Real close. I'm a little older than you. We're talking to Chris Butler, and you have a new moniker, which is
Free Market Underground.
Free Market Underground. You have a show on KCMO Talk Radio on the weekends. What time, by the way?
8 o'clock on Saturday mornings.
Saturday morning. Very good. And, of course, you've got your investment firm. Go ahead and tell everybody, because I got the website right up here.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right up here.
Butler, Lands, and Wagler. And there is the website.
There you go.
Looking good.
I know.
Nice choice of font.
I'm learning a few things. Listen, this is going to look better. I'm getting ready to launch a new
no, it does look good.
Software. Dude, I've had to learn. Dude, I think
all right.
But I've had to learn all of this stuff as a broadcaster since I left KCMO Talk Radio. And I've had to learn to do video and audio podcasting. It's a glorious thing. It is a marvelous thing. And the great thing, Chris, it's uncensored. It is free. There's nobody telling you what you can or cannot say. It's glorious.
It is great. I'm thankful that you even introduced me to this medium, because it's exciting. It's exciting to do this. It really is. And let me tell you, to the people listening, if they don't know, how much Rob does know about this. Don't let him fool you. In a very short period of time, he has gone from novice to expert.
Thank you.
There's so much to master.
The thing is, Chris, we have moved from a position in broadcasting where you don't need to have a job at a radio station. You don't need to have a job at a TV station. You don't need to have a job at a newspaper. Okay?
That's right.
Literally, the only way you could express yourself as someone with a free-thinking opinion. And listen, I'm a broadcaster. Okay, I'm miles ahead of most people because I'm a broadcaster already. But you might get a letter to the editor, and you might get on a talk show.
Yeah.
And that's it. Then social media rolls around, so you have a little bit more reach there.
Right.
Now, look, I've got a TV network. I've got a podcast network. It's on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Play, Google Plus, Audio Boom, SoundCloud. Did I know anything about these when I was at KCMO?
No.
Chris, I didn't know. And I've got people who are downloading my podcasts around the country. I've got a TV network called LibertyOneTV.com, LibertyOneTV.com. Every night I'm on LibertyOneTV.com, a network from my home. It's spectacular.
It
spectacular.
It's great.
So I'm glad to have you along for the ride.
Yeah,
I want to talk a little bit, Chris. And again, make sure to check out your investment firm, blwininvestments.com. Honestly, if you're in the KC area and you want to know how to invest your money and learn from somebody who doesn't subscribe to the traditional American view of investments, and we'll get into that in a moment. I want to ask you about this because I saw in your bio today, you went to UMKC and studied economics.
I did.
you told me something about UMKC that I had no idea. I don't even know how you could say Marxist and economics in the same sentence, but that's the theorem or the theory that they subscribe to.
It's one of them. Keynesian economics is closely aligned to Marxist economics.
It's Keynesian socialistic combination of
right.
Okay, I don't understand completely on Keynesian. But
and there's no need to really. But I was a little shocked too. But you have to remember when I first enrolled there, I didn't know much about economics either, other than the 101 I took in undergrad.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
My experience with economics was applied economics. It was actually looking at markets, charts of markets, and saying where is the supply and where is the demand. So when I went to get a master's degree, I too, Rob, was shocked that anyone would have the gumption to teach a long forgotten, disrepute. I guess you'd say completely
failure.
Destroyed. Yeah,
failure.
I mean, anybody that has any understanding of history since 1900 knows that socialism is a failure, and they should be fearful of it because of all the pain, misery, and death that it's caused.
Yeah, I think if you had a theory, if you had a class on Marxist mass murder, then I would say that's got some credibility.
It's called micro.
They kicked ass at mass murder and torture and shutting people. That's a class. If you were a mass murderer, dude, that's the one. But honestly, Marxist economics is hilarious.
It really is. And I was telling you that, one of the things that I'm thankful for now, I wasn't really enthralled with then, but I had to read so much Keynes and I had to read so much Marx that I actually understand these guys, right? And at the same time reject everything they stand for.
That's a positive because you have some intelligence.
I do.
From the inside.
That's right.
It must have been maddening, though, to sit there and listen to professors who believe this crap.
It was different.
Oh.
That's for sure. It was different.
You should say, can I just real quick, mass graves, how does that equate into the economy of Marxism? Sending people, hold on, just real quick here. Mao murdered 70 million people. Did the reason they do that is because it meant more money for the people who survived? Is that the economic theory that we're dealing with? I'm just asking.
And what the professor is hearing is, please give me enough.
It must have been tough. It must have been tough.
It was. It was very difficult. But good people. I want to stress that they're good people. I just didn't agree with their economics.
They just, needed a lot of people to die for their economic theory to work.
Right.
Absolutely. And aborted babies in there. But other than that, it works real well.
Not a very good track record for 117 years.
And it's so funny. Off subject, LeBron James. The other night, he wears sneakers, basketball shoes, said equality on the back of them. And that's his big statement here. And I'm like, equality? You're making $100 million or whatever year, maybe. What does equality mean to you? What, are you going to take those $500 shoes and give them to inner city kids? Are you gonna spread the wealth? Equality, my friend. Come on, man. I thought it was a little bit. I thought it was kind of ridiculous.
It is, and the disappointing thing about that to me is that we were taught in grade school. Our generation, Rob, was taught in grade school that when we're talking about equality in the United States, we are talking about equality of opportunity. We're not talking about actual egalitarianism. And somewhere along the line, we allowed that message to get distorted. No one said a peep.
I don't want to be equal.
No.
I don't want to be equal. I don't want to be paid the same as some doofus who decides not to roll the dice, build a studio, do all of the things. This is the thing. And ultimately, Chris, socialism is about the grasshopper and the ant.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You've got the ants who bust their ass all year, and they are going to be paid the same as the grasshoppers who arrive and are rewarded with the fruits of the labor. Mm-hmm. I know this because I just watched the movie Bugs the other night with my daughter.
Right. Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it is, dude. That's what it is.
Yes, you're spot on.
It is all about and listen, and another analogy I used to make, college class projects. I don't know about you. I have a feeling you were the same kind of geeky college dude who just busted your ass when you had to do group projects, and you had the guys who were lazy as crap, who are going to get the same grade. That's socialism, people.
Right.
I remember Tony Snow. Not Tony Snow. There's another kid, Tony King. Tony King. He was part of my group. And me and Diana Anderson, we would bust our asses. We would do the class project. They would do nothing, and there was nothing I could do about it.
No.
Because I had to outperform them to get the same grade that they got. That's socialism.
Hey, the first colony, Plymouth Colony, was a failed communist experiment. And you know what it takes? And that's the good news about the way it was structured is the group was so small, you actually got to watch people not work and then eat. And that's what did it. I'm convinced that's what did it.
And it killed it.
Yeah.
It killed it. It killed it. That doesn't surprise me. This is the way communism works. But what makes communism, socialism even worse is what we are experiencing in our country.
Yeah.
You've got a tale of two cities. You've got the bourgeois and the proletariat. We are bourgeois. The proletariat exists in Washington, D.C. They are the steakhouse set.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones who tell you to drive in a crappy little electric car while they drive in motorcades. They tell you you need to ride coach and cattle class. They fly in private jets. They are the ones who say you have to have poison light bulbs in your house while they live in mansions. This is socialism. It's worked this way every way. If you look at Cuba, if you look at Venezuela, if you look at North Korea, they all live in mansions, and they throw the crumb and they throw the crumbs to the people.
Yeah,
that's what this is all about, Chris.
It is. It's just another power play, really. Yeah. When you're talking about socialist revolution, it is simply a power play. And you look at all of these successful socialist revolutionaries, from Castro to Mao, and who ends up living the good life?
The proletariat, the government.
Yeah, right.
The government. And it has never changed, Chris. And I don't understand the mindset that makes this happen. I don't understand why Barack Obama and Michelle Obama throw the crumbs. They live the high life, and they you live on welfare, and if you can get on food stamps, or you can get on whatever, that's enough for you. It's just enough to secure your vote.
Right.
That's the way it works. That's the way it works.
And why does it succeed? As a strategy, and clearly it is a strategy, a well-thought-out strategy.
Because you have willful idiots in the media who, and you've got people who don't know any better, who are willing to settle for a government check, an Obama phone, all of these things. And they can sit back and they can not learn, and they can drop out of high school, and there's a safety net there that they can get these things. And it's all they need. They don't know what it's like to fly in a private jet. They don't know. They will never know what it's like to all of these things. But they're happy enough living in a house, getting enough SNAP benefits to. And by the way, when I was in D.C., I would go to Sam's Club certain days of the month, and I would see people load their carts up when I was out of work. Salmon, steak, and you'd see these grocery carts loaded to the top, and you'd go up to the cash register and you'd go, holy shnikey. And you'd see the Maryland SNAP benefit card come out. $500, $600, $700 a month, depending on your family, how many people you got in there. And I was like, wow, I can't even afford flank steak over here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right.
So it's enough to get your vote. It's enough to get your vote.
Right.
That's really what it is.
The thing is that we went down the wrong path, because in the end what happened was, we all know this, freedom, liberty, it forces responsibility upon you because there is no other option, right? And so when we took away slowly little chunks of liberty and freedom, and so that we could say that we felt more protection, what we got was a sickness, I think, in our society, which is one of shirking responsibility. With freedom, you've heard that, with freedom comes responsibility. But
wait a minute, isn't that Spider-Man?
I think it might be.
Is that Spider-Man?
I think it's the bedside Spider-Man philosophy handbook.
Yes. I think it was with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, that's right.
But the same way with you're wearing a Spider-Man outfit under that, aren't you?
Duh.
You are Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's right. So that way I can go right to bed. They're PJs. I can strip out of the suit, go right to bed.
Yes.
Don't pass go.
Let me ask you this, and I know you have colleagues who are not fans of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What and listen, I was a kid when Ronald Reagan was the president. He is saying things, nationalism, bullcrap. It's America first. That's it. Tough crap. Sorry, America first.
Yeah.
What is he doing positively as someone who is involved in finance? What is he doing that is working to you?
Well, actually, I think what's working is simply having a conversation, because the tax legislation certainly hasn't passed. We've done nothing about Obamacare, but having the conversation, I think more and more people are starting to realize one thing that isn't tax related and it's not Obamacare related. Those two, I think, would be gravy. What business people are realizing is this is not going to be like the last 8 years. We are going to have some of the regulatory burden stripped from our shoulders. And so we are going to see, and I think this is what the market is excited about. I think they're excited about both doing something about Obamacare and tax reform. But I think more than anything else, what they sense is this is going to be an environment that we can thrive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what investors like.
Well, there's a thing that we call the presidency, which is the chief executive of the country.
Yeah.
For the first time in a very long time, we have an executive at the head of it. Now, George Bush was an executive. He owned a baseball team.
Right.
He was also a governor and all that stuff. This man is an executive. He has had to succeed. Now, he's used bankruptcy as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
He filed bankruptcy. He's a failure.
Right.
No. You use bankruptcy as a tool. When you have the means, you use it because it is there. You can call it a loophole, whatever. He's used bankruptcy as a tool because it's a tool to be used.
Yeah. And you know what bankruptcy does?
What?
It forces your creditors to a bargaining table.
Yeah.
I know of I didn't know that much about Donald Trump before he ran for president.
Yeah.
But it's becoming very clear, crystal clear to me, that this is a guy that loves to bargain. So it doesn't surprise me that he uses the tool to get people to a bargaining table, knowing that might be the only way he can get leverage.
The art of the deal. Now, the other day, we heard that he was yanking all of these subsidies for insurance companies.
Right.
And he basically gave a wink and a nod to the Democrats, saying, if you want to talk about this,
That's right.
Come to the table.
Right.
Otherwise, it's gone.
Right.
That is effing brilliant.
Yeah.
You never see that in government, Chris.
No, you don't.
You never see it.
And I think that part of the unease about Trump is that he's doing things that we just aren't used to seeing coming out of the Oval Office in a lot of different ways. But I think there's the shock factor that's hard for some people to get over.
Again, you've got the establishment. They're freaking. And the more caterwauling you hear, the larger that the charges become, whether that be he's a Nazi, whether that be he insulted a Gold Star mom, whether that be he's whatever. The more you hear that, the more you realize that he's kicking their ass. And they're seeing their returns diminish. And when they see the 3% growth rate in the second quarter with the GDP, which they said would not happen, and it only took 9 to 6 months.
Yeah.
To do it, they're going. I can either slice my wrists open, or I can, call him a racist or a Nazi or whatever. And that's what. And I'm going to tell you, the cries are going to get worse. They're going to get worse because this is working. It will work. This economy. I tell you what, Chris, and I don't know a lot about it, but if we're at 3 right now, going through 2 hurricanes and all this, it's going to be Reagan-esque. It's going to be bigger and better than that next year. Before the 2018, we'll see what happens with the 2018. But I just think the results are going to be so overwhelmingly obvious and positive that all the name calling in the world is going to work.
Well, yeah, that's what happened to Reagan, right? I mean,
and they called. I was a kid, but I remember all
too.
of that.
Yeah, I do too.
I remember all of that.
I remember, when I was a kid growing up, remember Ronald Reagan ran in 76, right?
Yeah, I was in 4th grade.
And yeah, me too.
You were in 3rd grade.
Yeah, 3rd grade. my great-grandfather was part of the Reagan campaign 76 in the state of Missouri in his basement. And I only went over to my great-grandfather's house like for Christmas, and that's it, right? Once a year. All the kids would go into the basement. There was so much Reagan stuff there. Reagan hats, Reagan buttons,
God,
Reagan stickers. I know. It would be. And so I knew who this guy was. Yeah. So in 1980 when he won, and I believe, I voted for him in 84, not 80. I was too young.
Yeah, me too. That was my first year I could vote in 84.
And do you remember how the media eviscerated this man?
Oh, yeah.
It was I thought maybe this is just the first time I've actually followed politics, but no, they were mean, right? And my goodness, from an economic standpoint, the guts that it takes to go to your Federal Reserve Board chairman and say, look, we need to kill the back of inflation. You raise rates as you need to break the back of inflation. It is killing this country. And I'm sure Paul Volcker told Ronald Reagan, President Reagan, if I do that, we might go into recession. I am sure Reagan said, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
I remember Volcker. I was reading in your bio today, you have a real problem with the Fed because the Fed has started, 1914?
Yeah.
And the Fed has really effed things up. I want to get into Janet Yellen because I think she is a professorial leftist. I could be wrong.
No.
I could be wrong. I just her in charge of the Fed, and I don't know how much her influence is meant to the country. But tell us your opposition to the Fed and what it is grounded in.
Okay, but first I'm going to recommend a T-shirt for Rob. I'm gelling with Yellen.
No, I am not gelling with Yellen.
Not gelling with Yellen.
I am not gelling with Yellen. Yeah. No.
Here's my problem with the Fed. The Fed was originally sold to the American people. I mean, I've got too many problems with the Fed, but here's one of them. Yeah. It was sold to the American people as a way to create constant bank solvency. So we'd never have to go through a bank panic again, a bank wipeout again. But slowly over time, they have usurped more and more power. Now, here's something that they do that I absolutely despise. And because of this, no one can possibly say that we live in a free market society.
Okay. All right.
They tamper with the price of money. And prices are more than just your cost. They transmit signals. Do you know when it's time to turn on your own oil derrick? It's when oil is at $100. That's what the price transmits to you. It's time to create more supply. Demand is greater than supply. Now think about money. What's the price of money? It's interest rates. What if the Fed says we're not going to let interest rates go up? It's transmitting a bad signal, and that transmission has been muted. And so what it does is entrepreneurs make bad decisions because they don't know what's going on. They're not getting the right feedback. Yeah. The feedback, in fact, is false. That creates disturbances, dislocations, malinvestment, if you will, throughout our economic structure. That's the problem.
I think the only weapon of the Fed is interest rates.
That's right.
Honestly, what the hell? And the only thing that there were a few things that I guess, and clear this up with me because I need to know more. The only thing that kept the Obama economy at least kind of resembling some sort of success was manipulation of interest rates, keeping them low. And didn't the Fed pump a hell of a lot of money, of our money, into the markets to prop them up?
Two tools.
Go.
Interest rates, money. And you are exactly right. What went on for the 8 years that Obama was our president? Now, I'm not saying it's because he was our president. It just happened to coincide with his being president.
I think it was because he was our president.
It could very
100%.
But the Fed is supposed to be neutral, Rob.
Bull crap. Janet Yellen is an academic socialist. Give me a break.
Well, that is true. She is certainly left-leaning.
Oh, but please.
That you're right, though. That helped out tremendously. The only way our economy did not just sink and take stocks right along with it was because we kept pumping up that money, kept keeping those interest rates low. The problem is nowhere in the universe can you get something for nothing. And so somebody's going to have to pay for that. Yeah. And you know who it is? Wow. It's going to be your kids' kids. Yep. Because we took by creating all of this debt, we took all of the consumption that should be going on in about 40 years, and we pulled it into today.
I know.
So when we get to 40 years from now, we're in trouble.
did the same thing with cash for clunkers.
Yeah, right.
That's what it did for the auto industry.
Pulled all of the future
money from future buyers.
Yep.
To buy a crappy car and destroy a perfectly good car.
Right.
It is.
It's
common sense, and I'm just an idiot when it comes to math. And I know this is common sense, Chris.
No, it is common sense. and destroying a good car makes as much sense as FDR telling farmers to burn their crops.
Oh, dear God in heaven.
I mean, it makes no sense at all. But that's how disturbed economic policy can be if you don't understand what is considered sound economics. By the way, destroying food is not sound economics.
No, and we've got a lot of that. I remember the 70s. I was a kid, and we were poor, so we got government cheese.
Yeah,
I remember government cheese.
The cheese.
They had, and they didn't destroy it. They had a surplus. They gave it away to people, and I was a poor person.
Yeah.
We used to get these logs of effing sliced American cheese that were this long.
Oh, right. I think I've seen those at Costco.
Well, they still have them at Costco, but you got to pay for them.
Right. Key difference.
It's just funny. You have a economic theory that is based on not German but Austrian economics.
Right.
Explain to me what that is all about, and what is our economic system based upon? Isn't it kind of based upon these principles to some degree? And why is it has it worked so well for your mentors, Austrian mentors? Go ahead.
Yeah, and to be clear, Austrian economics is a school of thought, but it is not doesn't have anything to do with Austria.
This is post-Hitler, by the way.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
just want to say that real
right.
quick here.
Yeah, right. And in fact, Hitler invading Austria forced a lot of these Austrians into other countries.
Well, Hitler was a socialist. Nobody knows this.
National Socialist.
National Socialist Workers' Party. Mm-hmm. He was not a right winger.
No, he wasn't.
He was a socialist.
Left winger.
What did he do? The first two things he did: took over health care, took away guns.
Yep, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right,
and so the Austrians actually rose to some degree of fame about the time that Hitler was gaining power. And one of the reasons was, of all of the different schools of thought out there, only this group of Austrians were able to foresee, to some degree anyway, some would say predict, I think that's a little strong, the Great Depression. They did it again in 2007 and 2008. They did it again in 1999 and 2000. What is it that these Austrians see that other economists just flat out miss?
Yes.
Well, it's this, that the Federal Reserve causes distortions. That's it. And what it does is it creates a false sense of security. It creates a false sense of prosperity when we are given tools. And this is my firm's edge. This is my edge. If Austrian economics offers us anything, it's the ability to separate fact from fiction or illusion from reality. And that's the illusion is being created by all of this money printing. And this goes all the way back to the middle 1800s with a guy by the name of Karl Menger that had some problems with the socialists in Germany, and he started to argue with them. Next thing you know, you've got a well-developed school of thought called Austrian economics.
Interesting. And what is that? How would you describe it? You have a lot of people who demonize capitalism.
Right.
How would you describe it? And what are its elemental...
Yeah, the features.
Yes, please.
Number one, they pay most attention to the preconditions necessary for a healthy economy, and the first of those is individual liberty. Number two, if you're going to analyze the economy, the smallest unit of analysis should be the person. Countries don't act; people within the country act. So they raise the individual to the highest level of analysis. And division of labor, meaning we don't want a society where everybody has to create their own stuff. You specialize in creation of something, right? It's division of labor.
You bet.
And then finally, it is a free market. It's free people interacting for everyone's benefit. And those are the preconditions for a healthy economy. Anything else is going to be a distortion. And by the way, Austrians believe that there should be a government, and that government should be restricted to protecting your life
Thank you.
and your property.
That was my next question. What are the roles of government?
Anything else
Thank you.
aside from protecting your life and your property is an illegitimate governmental dictum.
And also the Austrians believe in skiing as great exercise.
Absolutely.
That's another thing that they
cross country. Man, I'd just like to go down a hill real fast.
I just never got to the whole cross country thing. It's
Why?
It's like
Why does it exist?
It's like walking versus running. My wife and I, I hate walking. You know why? Because it takes forever to get anywhere.
Right.
Literally, you're walking. My wife and I go for a walk on the Indian Creek Trail, and there's a tree, and I see it in the distance. We walk for 20 minutes. The tree is still in the distance. I'm like, it takes forever. I would rather just go downhill really fast.
Well, you should have gone home and got your car.
Yes, exactly. Hey, Chris, I want to thank you for coming in.
No, thank you.
We are. Let me ask you this: you've got a new Facebook page for this new venture you're doing. Mm-hmm. You are going to just real quick. Chris is going to start appearing not only on my audio podcast weekly, okay, which you can get on iTunes, iHeartRadio, all this because it's important. Even though I don't have any money, I want to talk about your money. I'm going to have money, Chris. I'm going to have money. It's coming. It's coming.
It is coming.
It's coming, brother.
It is. I believe that.
I'm an entrepreneur, brother.
That's right.
I'm an Austrian capitalist. I'm
you
going
are.
to wear my lederhosen next time we do a show.
And you didn't even know it. And please,
what?
wear the lederhosen, please.
Yes. But tell me about your new Facebook page where we're going to include Facebook video from you.
Right.
Because you're taking on the new media, not just a terrestrial radio, but also that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's free market underground. What we're going to talk about is a lot of what we just talked about today, which is mainly offering viewers an opportunity to separate illusion from reality. But we're probably going to start out doing that once every 2 weeks or so, and you're going to help. You're going to be there guiding my hand. But eventually it will probably be weekly.
Okay, good. Well, I think that it's a great way to connect with folks. And again, free market, Facebook at Free Market Underground, Facebook at Free Market Underground. Just launching that right now, okay? You're going to see Chris here in my studio. You're going to hear him on my podcast. I think it's important stuff. And because when I had you on my radio show, you always have great stuff to add.
Thank you.
And it's important stuff. So it's been really nice to have you on here today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob.
Great to have you. Again, for those who want to check out, it's a Free Market Underground. And, of course, your website. Go ahead, tell everybody about your firm again. Tell us what the
BLWinvestments.com.
Okay.
Butler Lands Wagler Investments, BLWinvestments.com. But you can also, and I don't even know if it's up yet, but you should also be able to get there at some point with freemarketunderground.com.
All right, this is our first video. Give me some right here, my brother.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, in your giant drink container here. This just looks huge. It's
orange Gatorade.
All right, I had some cheap Chardonnay, which I enjoy on a Friday. God bless you guys. Have a great time. And thanks for joining me, brother. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.